What do we know, everybody? I think on this wonderful Saturday, we're going to do another story time with Jim. And on this story time with Jim, we're going to tell the story about how kids, well, are stupid. And I'm not talking like dumb or like I don't like kids. God, I love kids. I got a little boy of my own, love him to death. I love children, especially toddlers. They just love me. I can have a lot of fun with them. But kids are stupid, especially boys. And I can speak from experience because I was one. I was a dumb little boy. So I'm not really going to talk on the girl end of this. I'm going to talk on the boy end of this. Because parents can tell their children, no, don't do this. And their children are going to do it. And that's what you have to do. You have to let things run their course. I know as a parent, you don't want to pay that tuition twice. You've learned from your mistakes. You don't want your children to make those same mistakes, but it's got to happen. That's how you get experience. Experience is what gives you knowledge. You can tell a child no till you're blue in the face. But if you let them make that mistake, let them hurt themselves, do whatever, well, now they understand why you meant no. But we did a lot of dumb stuff as children. And boys, well, we really, really did a lot of stuff that hurt us pretty bad in some situations. Really did. And we'll take playing football, for example. I'm not talking playing football with pads and whatever on a field in front of people. I'm talking that we were kids in elementary school and we'd have the home football games and we would all go out. And this playground, you had your play equipment over there with some rocks around it. You had your basketball hoops. Well, then you had grass on one side of the swings and a grass and a makeshift soccer field on the other because we didn't play soccer. They had a t-ball field right there too, but this was hard. It was hard dirt with gravel and a few weeds and some sandburs. And it was not ideal for anything, but we would play tackle football. And we would usually get some kids from the other schools or the other schools that were there and get them to where they would play. And we would just knock the snot out of each other. I mean, we had a good time, but it hurt. I mean, you got thrown into that ground, you'd hit your head, but you got back up. You had to be tough. You couldn't cry. You couldn't do any of that. You had to be tough. And we would do that. That was what we looked forward to every home game. If those other kids didn't want to play with us, we would jaw at them and trash talk them, and they either conceded and played with us, and we had to prove our point, or we would just play with each other. It was the same thing after school. We would do the same thing. We would play tackle football after school until we got in trouble. When we played basketball, we always used to play knockout instead of thunder and lightning. And the big difference between the two of them, and you can get in arguments about this too, but thunder and lightning for us, it was like knockout. You stand at the free throw line, you'd shoot, and if you were the first one to shoot, you had to make it before the other guy did or you were out. That was it. Well, knockout, it's the same thing, except you can knock their ball out. So you got people that are knocking the ball out with their ball, and it's bouncing off the rim and hitting the other kid in the face. And it is what it is. Dumb stuff. It hurts, but we still did it. We used to play on the playground on the swings. And you know how kids are. They want to jump off the swings. Well, we all did that. What we ended up doing that was more is we used to go until the swing would get slack in the chain. That's when you knew you were going just high enough. And you would go on your next push or your next pump, whatever you want to call it. And then you would jump out and we got to where we were pretty good to where we could roll like those parkour guys do. I mean, that wasn't a thing back then, but it's the same general thing that we were doing. But I mean, you would land, sometimes you'd slip, smack your head, or hurt your arm, and you had to get right back up. It was dumb, it hurt, you buggered yourself up, but you had to be tough. You couldn't cry. And I remember one time, I was doing that, and I got just as high as I could go, and I jumped off, and my shirt caught on the chain. So I jumped out, shirt caught, and it was like that dog on the Looney Tunes where you go out and the leash yanks him back. Well, that's what that was. I went out, shirt caught, yanked me back. I went down, and I landed bad. That hurt, and then I was buggered up on my side from the chain and the swing. And oh well, dumb stuff. We used to, there by the basketball hoops, there was a ledge. You could jump up on the little gas meter thing they had, and you could jump and you could grab onto the little gutter deal, and you could yank yourself up on that ledge. There was no point of being up there other than you were able to get up there. But we used to do that, and to get down from there, you had to hang out the side and scrape your belly up and everything else, and they finally ended up putting a cage up there so we couldn't do that no more. Well, then we figured out that we could go on the side of the school and we could climb the gutter and get on top of the school itself. It was stupid. It really was. To get down from there was a bugger. And we used to get in a lot of trouble for that, but we still did it. It was dumb. Back in those days, we didn't have the nice new track they got now. We had an old cinder track, so we couldn't have track meets, but they would practice over there. And so we used to go to the pole vaulting mats, and we all watched professional wrestling, and we do professional wrestling moves over there. And we would get to where we'd jump on each other and throw each other around. Well, once in a while, those mats would separate, and you'd get in between them, and you'd darn near suffocate. It was stupid. I mean, getting thrown around and getting jumped on hurt bad enough, but then you get in between those and your friends don't care. They'll let you die. You die, they'll run home, say they never saw you. Just one of those fun things, right? Growing up with boys. My brothers and I, we used to play football in the house, which is a big no-no. We broke a lot of stuff. We broke TVs and pictures and all sorts of stuff. My mother could give you the rundown. But we used to play a deal of football where a guy had to be on his knees in the living room and the other one would start in the kitchen and they had to run and try to get to the couch. Couch was a touchdown. How we would throw each other on the ground so hard. We'd throw them into the walls in the entertainment center and the other side of the couch. And we'd mess each other up. We used to get in trouble for that, so we'd go to the bedrooms and we'd play, and essentially the same thing. Bed was a touchdown. The other guy had to sit on the bed and try to keep the other one from scoring. And I remember one time my oldest little brother and I were doing that, and I tackled him, and I smacked his head so hard, and I mean really hard, into the door jamb from my closet. And I don't remember what my punishment was for that. It's probably a good thing I don't remember. But I remember just the fear I had about all the trouble I was going to be in for not only playing football in the house, but for slamming my brother's head against the wall. Oh, my word, not a good deal. Not a good deal. My grandpa bought us boxing gloves one time at a garage sale. And my parents were gone. My brothers and I used to pull those out, and we would pull a little throw rug in the kitchen underneath the table. We'd pull that out, and that was our ring. And we would just beat the snot out of each other. I mean, boys are great, right? I mean, everybody wants boys. This is what you got to look forward to. We didn't beat each other up like that because we didn't like each other. It was just fun. I mean, it was fun. Beating the snot out of each other for fun. Hell, I remember when I was a really little kid, my buddy that lived about a block away from my grandma and grandpa's house got a bicycle. It had checkered flags on the pads they put on the handlebars and on the center bar. I always thought that bike was so cool because to me it was a racing bike. I mean, checkered flags, that's where you see it, racetracks. Well, I finally got the opportunity to ride it. Oh, I was so excited. I mean, I was the baddest dude on earth. And my buddy and a couple of the other kids were out doing something else, and I was riding that bicycle around, and I had the bright idea of riding that thing with my eyes closed. Yeah, So I rode with my eyes closed, and I ran into the back of one of those old conversion vans. They're nothing but steel. I smacked my face so hard on the back of that thing, but you couldn't cry. You couldn't cry because if you cried, you would have to tell that story. And if you had to tell that story as to why you were crying and what you did, well, you would never live it down. You would get made fun of that forever. You had to be tough. And you would think that after doing that and having that happen, that I would learn my lesson. When I was in, I don't remember if I was in like 6th grade or junior high or something like that, I did the same thing again. Then I'm running in the front of somebody's car. Boys are stupid. Kids are stupid. We do dumb stuff. It's dumb. My buddy and I, when we were kids, were riding to one of the gas stations to get a soda pop. And there was a big grass fire outside of town. Well, I heard the grass rigs coming, so I just stopped. Well, that kid didn't stop. He rode his bicycle right out in front of one of those grass rigs. It was just screaming to get out of town. It's dumb. I mean, kids are stupid doing dumb stuff like this. My dad had an old hose reel that was like one of those moving dollies. It had 2 wheels on the back of it, and it had the little lip that come out, and he had the reel on it. Well, he took the reel off, so he could use it just like a regular dolly. Well, he had it hanging up on the wall in the garage on one of the nails. And my parents, bless their heart, if you got boys, you understand. They told me not to play with that, not to mess with it. And if you got boys, you understand completely that it sounds stupid that you got to mention that, but you know that they're going to do something dumb. Well, I did something dumb. I kept seeing that thing, and I kept messing around, and I got to where I kind of pull on it a bit, and then I got to where I'd hang on it a bit. Like, well, this is all right. This is going to hold me. So I started playing around with it, and so I started hanging on that and climbing up the wall with my feet. Well, it gave loose. It slipped off the nail, and I went head first and hit the floor of the garage. It was another one of those deals where you could not tell anybody. You had to act like everything was okay, even though you had a splitting headache. And then you also knew, after doing enough dumb stuff, that you really shouldn't be taking a nap either, so you kind of kept yourself alive in that sense. I did a lot of dumb stuff on bicycles. I told you about the running into those 2 vehicles. But we used to do a lot of dumb stuff. We had a huge hill that run down into the park. You used to go down there as fast as you could and get to the bottom of it, and well, you'd wreck. You'd wreck a lot, at least half the time. You'd either catch some loose gravel and wipe out, or you'd try to slow down, you'd spin out, you did a lot of dumb stuff. Oh, you used to ramp on the curbs and gutters and different things like that. We didn't have a skate park in that little town. But we still found ways to do dumb stuff. We tried to imitate those guys that were on television, and it did not work out as well for us as it did them. I remember one time I had a bicycle that I did a lot of stuff on, and I got to where I was really good at it. I don't think I could ride a bicycle anymore. I don't think I got to get enough balance. I haven't rode one in years. But I got to where I could ride that thing with no hands, and I could steer with no hands, just leaning into it one way or the other. Well, I got to where I would stand on the seat, and I'd have both hands on the handlebars, and I got good with that. And then I did it with one hand, and you guys can kind of see where this is going. Well, I had a bright idea one day. I'd just do it with no hands. I'd stand on that seat, and if I could get that down, I'd just be a celebrity. Well, as soon as I'd let go of them handlebars, the bars turned, and I went over the front end and landed head first on the street. That hurt. I wanted to cry, but I couldn't cry. First thing I did was I got up and I looked around, and nobody was out to see me. All the blinds around me were closed. So I promptly got up and I limped my happy butt through the alley to the house and threw my bike in the yard and went inside and sat in my bedroom. just trying to collect myself a little bit. I mean, that hurt. They used to make a big snow pile at the school there by the playground, and that's where they just put all the snow. When they'd snow, they'd scoop it all up, and that's where they'd dump it, and we used to go over there and go sledding. Well, that would sit for a day and then melt a little bit, and then it would just turn to ice. And you just sled, and that would kind of hurt your bum. You hit those ice, and you hit those jumps and those bumps that you made, and it would hurt. So you didn't want to sit down and do that. So you figured, well, those sleds that you got, they got a rope on them. That must be so you can stand up. So you would stand up on those, and if you were lucky enough to keep your balance more than a couple of feet, well, you were bound to lose your balance somewhere down there, and you would hit hard. I mean, you're hitting ice. It hurt bad. We were out at my aunt and uncle's place one time in the winter, and we're running around playing in the old pickup graveyard and looking at all those old cars, which is another thing. I mean, we're boys out on old farms. That's what you're doing. You're going through those old junk areas there, going through all those old cars and climbing on those old trailers and that old equipment. I mean, all kinds of bad stuff that could happen. And if you broke a leg, you could scream as much as you want. They wouldn't be able to hear you. But whatever, is what it is. But it was the middle of winter and we were doing this, and we go up to the little creek that run through there, and there was ice on it. And my cousin told me, well, don't be jumping on that ice. It's too thin. And of course, my genius self, to say it nicely, said, no, I won't. I'm not going to fall through that ice. So I go and I jump. Instead of just trying to run across it or walk, I jump. And I go through that ice, and I go up to my neck and whatever liquid that was, and I climbed out of that ice and I ran. It was the only time in my life that I ever thought that I could hurdle a barbed wire fence. Just dumb. Stupid stuff like that, just dumb. Remember one time we're out on the farm sledding. And somebody brought out a big old tractor tire inner tube. Well, that was cool as you were kids because everybody could fit on that. And you'd go down this hill and you'd just go fast. So we all got on there. We got going down this hill and we was going fast. I don't know if the other kids were just bailing or if they were falling off or what. But I think it was me and one of my other cousins. We were going to hold on, and we hit a jump at the end, and we went in the air, fell off the tube, and I smacked a tree, and not fun. We're out on the farm, and we had a little dirt bike track out there, and we didn't play with dirt bikes. We didn't have dirt bikes, but a couple of my cousins did. And luckily for me, I never really got into that whole deal because I probably would have had a lot of broken bones. I mean, you can see my track record with other stuff. Well, I wanted to ride a bicycle out there, but we didn't have a vehicle I could bring my bicycle with, so they had a little itty-bitty kid's bike there. And I mean itty-bitty kid's bike. And I must have been, I think, about 10 years old at this time, and I'm out there in the middle of winter in shorts, mind you, and I hardly ever wear shorts. But I'm just going as fast as I can on that little bike, and I hit one of those jumps, and I figured out pretty quick, about mid-jump, that I can't keep my balance on that thing. And I went like this. You jump on your own bike, you can keep it up like you're supposed to. You jump on that, it was like that. And I hit my head on that frozen ground so damn hard. But it's just those deals where you can't tell anybody when you do something stupid like that. Because not only are you not going to get any sympathy, you probably get your backside chewed about being so stupid. And then you'll never live it down, because I'll tell that story a million times as you get older. Or if you want to go bring your bike and do something like that, they're going to bring up, well, remember what happened last time? My brother was out on the farm when he was really little. Really, really little. I don't remember exactly how old he was. But him and my cousin were on a four-wheeler. And I don't remember exactly who was driving. Or I don't remember. But either way, they ended up rolling that four-wheeler through a barbed wire fence out there. Just dumb. Oh my word. I fell off so many big, tall metal slides. Remember the old ones that didn't have the side deals on them? They weren't nice and cupped. It was just a straight piece of hot steel. Fell off a bunch of those. My ER trips when I was a kid were because of that. And thank goodness it was just because I got the wind knocked out of me. But it was still pretty miserable. I don't know why I always fell off of those things. I don't remember doing anything too stupid, but it couldn't have been all that bright, whatever I was doing. Oh, we used to climb the jungle gyms, get on top of them, and then jump off. That was always smart. We always did dumb stuff. I mean, kids are stupid, boys are stupid. Boy parents, you know this. You know that you got to say simple stuff. Don't do this on stuff that seems like common sense. Because those idiots are going to do it. We did it. And then we we toughened ourselves up pretty darn quick doing it. I mean, and I always looked at it kind of like my grandpa. And I am 100% convinced, 100% convinced that my grandpa could have cut his arm off. Doesn't matter if it was a chainsaw, if it was an axe, caught it in a grinder, or PTO, whatever, it doesn't matter. I am 100% convinced that my grandpa could have lost his arm, had it squirting blood everywhere, and he wouldn't have even flinched. He would have just kept doing whatever he was doing with one hand. And you see your grandpa do stuff like that, well, you figure you got to be tough. Well, these other kids, they figure they got to be tough. And you toughened yourself up. I mean, you didn't cry. You got hurt, you did not cry. You toughened up. And especially if you did something stupid. I mean, you learn pretty quick. You do something stupid, you're not getting sympathy. I mean, I see videos of these kids, and I see it out in public, and these kids do dumb stuff. And they're getting all kinds of sympathies from their parents. I mean, it's just like me now. And we'll take my little brother-in-law, Jericho, for example. Love the kid to death. I mean, I lucked out in the in-law category. But every time he does something stupid and he hurts himself, I don't give him sympathy. I ask him what he learned. Experience gives you knowledge. These kids are going to do dumb stuff. We all did. I mean, it didn't stop as we were kids. I mean, all the way into young adulthood, we did dumb stuff. Like when I was in high school, I think I must have been 16. And I had to go out to a rancher's place outside of town to help him. We had to vaccinate some cattle. I mean, it was an easy way for me to earn $5 at the time. I think is what I got paid. Didn't matter. $5 is $5. I was happy to have it. Didn't have it before. When I was coming back into town, though, I was just screaming at that pickup, having fun driving fast, whipping around these curves. And I hit one of those curves, and I kid you not, my pickup whipped around like 4 times. It had canyons on both sides. Ain't no guardrails, ain't no nothing to stop you. It's the sand hills. Whipped that pickup around 4 times, could have went down there. Dumb. Dumb. Horribly dumb. My brother, my youngest brother, he's went through more than one barbed wire fence. I went through a barbed wire fence one night chasing a coon. It's stupid. I mean, and this is the rural area stuff, obviously, that we're talking about right now, but I mean, you see these kids in high school doing dumb stuff in the cities. And their dumb stuff probably not near the maiming level. Maybe that's what I'm looking for. The pain level of what we were doing. But it was still dumb. I mean, the stuff that we did would hurt us. The stuff that you see some of these other kids doing that hurts more than one person. But it is what it is. I mean, different areas are different, times are different. I mean, whatever. Kids are going to do dumb things. Kids are stupid. I mean, kids are going to go out and, I mean, just like when we first moved into town, Dad had a wood saw sitting in the garage, just laying out. I was told not to touch it. Well, I looked at it, and I knew that my grandpa's knives were sharp, that he cut deer and stuff up with. Well, that didn't look like a knife. It had all the little teeth on it. So, well, this can't be that sharp. So what do? I go and I touch it. And guess who cut their finger? This guy. Stupid. Stupid. We used to go out in these old farms and used to go up to these old houses that are leaning over and falling over, and these barns that are falling over. Common sense would tell somebody to stay away because you don't know when that thing could go down. We were kids, we were climbing up in those things, getting as high as we could. A feather could have knocked some of those buildings over. We were still in there playing in them. Kids are not bright. I mean, you can make them as book smart as you want, but common sense doesn't come till a lot of years later. Believe me. And it don't get any better. I mean, you get a little more common sense and you get a little bit tougher. I mean, I like to say I got a good pain tolerance because I can hurt myself working on stuff and it don't faze me a bit. But I mean, like needles. I hate needles. I mean, I about pass out every time I got to go get a shot or get blood drawn. And of course, the nurses always bring up these tattoos. Well, tattoos to me felt like sunburns, but I hate needles. But I can do stuff that hurts. I mean, dumb stuff that I shouldn't be doing. I mean, just the other day, I was out. Oh, we're putting saddle tanks on the tractor. And you bring gloves out there to protect your hands. Well, then you take your gloves off, and then you hurt your hands. Dumb. The amount of times working with cattle that I've got hurt doing something stupid. That's my own dumb fault. I'm the one that did it. I'm the reason it happened. I knew it was stupid when I did it, but I still did it. It was the same as a kid. I knew what I was doing was dumb, but I always held out hope that it was going to work out. Sometimes it did. A lot of times it didn't, but that's how you learn. You hurt yourself enough doing something, you realize you probably shouldn't do that. Hell, I'll take it like sticking a bread twister or a knife into a power outlet. It's not going to kill the kid. It ain't going to feel pretty, but it ain't going to kill him. But you can keep trying to take that stuff away, but I guarantee it's going to be one good jolt before, and they'll never do it again. Oh, it's just like kind of walking up behind a cow. Or we'll take a calf, for example. We used to go to a lot of brandings when I was a kid. And you had to make sure where you were standing and make sure what you were doing, especially if you drug them. Now, if you had a small enough amount of work, and we don't use calf tables down here, we usually rope and drag. If you got a small enough number, well, you don't use a roper. You just go in, grab the leg, drag them out. You make darn sure where you're at, because if you do something stupid, you're going to get kicked. You don't want to get kicked. It hurts. It don't feel pretty. But you're a kid, you do dumb stuff like that. Or you would do things to agitate them to try to get them to kick you. Just to prove to yourself how tough you are. And then you realize, you know what? There's a reason we're told not to do this. You look like climbing windmills and stuff like that when you were a kid. That was fun. That didn't bother you a bit, but you're looking back now and saying, that is just dumb. If you would have slipped and you would have fell, there's a pretty good chance you probably would have died. If you didn't die, you probably would have died waiting for somebody to come help you. You're going out to a ranch or a farm, or let's say you're a city person, you're going out and you're going camping somewhere, and you're a kid and you wander off because you want to go explore, and then all of a sudden you can't remember how to get back. Kids are stupid. We were all stupid. Some of us more than others, and some of us grew out of it, and some of us didn't. We all still do stupid stuff today, especially us guys. And we do lots of things that we shouldn't do, lots of things that aren't safe. I mean, just look at us now. This last week we went out, it would have been Thursday, and we went out earlier in the week too, before I was sick. And we had to change the drops on the pivots. So to do that, you got a couple of different things you can do. You can either find somebody that has a man lift, which would be just ideal. But where are you going to find those? I mean, how many people got those? You go out there with a ladder. Well, that's not really ideal, not really safe, and you got to lug that big heavy thing out there. Or you do what we did and took front end loader. Well, we do ridges. We ridge crop. We run everything on pivot, but we still ridge it. It works out good. We don't have to plant as deep as everybody else. But when you're trying to sit in that loader bucket while the boss man's driving over those ridges to get to the pivot to where you got to change that drop, that is not safe. Especially to get that bucket up in the air and you still got to come forward and you got to go over another ridge. Boy, that's not fun because that bucket bounces. And you think to yourself, those pivots are pretty high up. If I would get bucked out of here, that could be a real bad day. And I actually told boss man, I said, if I do fall out of here, you got to make sure you tell my wife that I wrecked a dirt bike or something cool because, well, this just ain't great. And there's a reason OSHA don't go to farms. And there's a good reason for it. I mean, it's just a lot of little things like that, doing a lot of things that you shouldn't be doing, but you do them anyway. Part of it's because of stupidity, part of it's because it's supposed to be easier, and sometimes it's because you don't have the right tool. I mean, it just is what it is. But main point is, kids are stupid. I was a kid, I speak from experience. I was stupid, sometimes I'm still stupid now. Parents of boys, you know what I'm talking about. New parents, you had your first child and it's a boy. This is what you're looking forward to. It is what it is. Not a big deal. Boys can take care of themselves. They heal themselves pretty quickly. Rub some dirt in it, pat them on the back, they're good to go. If you grew up in a house full of girls, or if all you have is girls and you have a boy, have fun. Because those little things are going to do a lot of dumb stuff and they're going to give you some gray hairs. But it's all going to be good in the end. But anyway, guys, I've rattled on for like a half hour. I'm going to cut this off here, get everything put together, get it uploading, and we'll go from there. But I hope you enjoy these stories. I hope you stuck around to the end. If you do, you deserve a cookie. And please drop a comment of some dumb stuff you did as a kid. We all need a good laugh. Everybody's got dumb stories. And I'm sure there's a whole lot more that I didn't get to. Actually, I know there's a lot more. And I'm sure if my mom watches this video, she can come up with a million more that I forgot. But that's all the fun in it, right? You know you're going to do dumb stuff. Kids all do dumb stuff. Kids are stupid. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I love making these videos, and it makes my day when I get comments and people like the videos and different things like that. Like say we're not a monetized deal or anything like that. It's just all for fun. But as always, guys, I thank y'all for watching.